me like 10 minutes ago to make sure that he was like, did you get the invite and everything?
I'm glad you got it. I'm going to go ahead and start, just so you know, we live stream the meetings on the city website. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. So this is the point where you'd consider yourself live on the internet. So
Okay, that's
I
fine.
warned everybody before.
Yeah.
Where's everybody at, Jonathan?
I am not sure. Hopefully planning on attending.
Hopefully.
I could send out a reminder email real quick here. That was some pretty good thunder we had today.
Yeah.
Yeah, is that normal around here or not really?
Yeah, it's normal.
Oh, okay. I came from Georgia, so we have like terrible thunderstorms pretty much every other day this time of year.
I'm from the East Coast, so I know what you're talking about.
Oh, here comes Anne.
Good evening, Ann.
Hello.
How you doing?
How you doing? Good. How are you?
Hanging in there.
Now we're coming.
Oh, Ms. Breeze.
Oh, yes.
We haven't heard from any board members that they had any planned conflicts with this evening or anything, right?
Correct.
Okay, just want to make sure. We can wait a little bit, that's fine. Just want to make sure we didn't know somebody was unable to make it.
I'm on. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
And I see Ann's on, but Drew, maybe?
I just messaged her.
And the new guy, I just sent him a message.
John Hatch. Are we gonna,
The new guy.
he already in or we have to swear him in?
Council already appointed him, so you don't have to vote to or
Okay.
swear him in or anything.
Okay, good.
Yeah. But we need a quorum here.
I think a reminder that the meetings start promptly at 5:30 might be in order.
Or we reserve the right to label you whatever in your Zoom square.
Or you have to
So-
pay fine.
New guy will be new guy. Drew, we could just be real creative with Drew. Drew Barrymore, Drew Variance Board more, whatever.
Drew late.
Whoa, all right.
Well, most of the time she's in her car and she's on her phone, so. I'm sure
All right,
she's
we'll
gonna
try.
pop up any second.
We'll try to discourage that behavior. Don't wanna pull over.
I'm just asking, can y'all see me or is my camera still not working? I thought I got it fixed, but, okay.
We can't see you.
All right. I was actually on a Microsoft meeting a couple days ago and it worked fine. I don't know what it is about the Zoom meeting. I can't get it to work, so.
Doug, if you look in the bottom left corner, there's a camera icon with a little arrow above it.
Yeah, stop video, yeah.
Yeah, there's a little up arrow. If you click that up arrow, you may have the wrong camera selected. So if you click it, you should see like at least one or two options there. And you might try switching it because that might work.
So I got integrated camera, choose virtual background or video settings. That's what I got.
Okay, so you only got the integrated camera. There may be, is it a laptop or PC?
Laptop.
Okay. Well, if you're ever around and you want me to look at it, I could probably see what's going on pretty quick.
Well, I was there today. I thought about it. I'd come in and brought my laptop.
Yeah, I should have thought about it too. I always think about it when we're in variance board and never any other time. So
Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure why it's not doing it on Zoom. Do. I didn't mirror my video, touch my appearance, always display participants in the video.
Zoom just says to make sure that you have the latest version on the download center. Do you have the
That-
latest version on Zoom?
That I do not know. That might be a good question. I do have an IT guy that's helps me out. I'll send him a ticket tomorrow and see if what I've got on here because I'm in the advanced settings now, but I don't see where it's telling me to do anything different.
Yeah, all I'm seeing is like restart your Zoom camera access and make sure that you have the latest version from the download center.
Okay. I'd be a little afraid to do that right now because I probably would hang up and not be back till next month.
So maybe Chair Smith and thank you, actually, Board Member Zimmerman for being here. as we maybe approach the 15-minute mark, we could talk about options and what a quorum. If no other board member joins us, unfortunately for the applicant and anyone else listening out there in the universe, the board doesn't have the ability to act or hear or conduct this hearing. I do believe the law allows for less than a quorum of you to convene solely for purposes of continuing and setting a new date. Most boards bylaws, and again, I believe the law permits this, allow for less than a quorum to at least take that action, to set a new date and continue a matter formally to another particular date if needed to act in the future. So if we get to that point, that might be what the two of you, with great apology to the applicant, that might be the only choice you have here this evening, is to pick another date certain. And we would need a date certain so that not only the applicant, but anybody else listening or maybe watching later knows that we have another date. When would the next date be? Maybe Diane, is that a question for you? If we do have to kick this can, what's the next option?
I'm looking at the calendar.
Okay,
We're gonna stick to what we agreed on though, right? It's a second or third week in each month.
It'd be June 16th.
okay. Yes, sir.
And it is Chris the applicant? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Again, it's great apology to you, Chris. Sorry, go ahead, Chair.
Well, I don't want to speak out of line, so I'll hold my thoughts.
Okay.
So,
I'll say it, Doug. I think I know what you.
Go ahead, Ann.
I think it's appropriate if the board wants to consider whether to have a meeting sooner than that, understanding that we have to make sure it's properly noticed and all of that. If you want to do I know the desire was to have a regular meeting date on the third Wednesday, and that's what we moved towards. But with Planning Commission, particularly, on occasion, we do have meetings on other Wednesday nights. So I think that certainly could be considered if that works for the board and the applicant.
Ann, what's your opinion on that? I kind of like sticking to the deal, but it's kind of an effort for everybody to get together on an occasion like this. So.
Well, my second and fourth Wednesdays are committed to something else. That's why the third would work for me.
Okay.
So,
Cameron, am I allowed to talk to Chris about what his thoughts are as far as his timelines and things? Okay. So Chris,
Sure.
if we did go back to next month, how is that going to affect you?
So I'll have to call and cancel or postpone. They were going to come out second weekend of June 11th, that weekend, I think, to start potentially. Obviously, I told them that it would be, per acceptance of this meeting and everything, but
So
I will have to reschedule.
part of your agreement, and I would believe, if I read right, have you attempted to pull a permit yet?
No.
Okay. So, and I'm very experienced at this. You probably not going to get the permit within the next 2 or 3 weeks anyway. So,
So I was
Wait.
told,
even
I
if you
was
start
told-
tomorrow. So,
I was told that if the fence was just under the 7-foot mark, that I wouldn't need a permit for.
That is a correct statement.
Okay.
okay. So that is a correct statement. So you don't need a
is.
permit anything over 6 foot.
With the 2018 IBC codes, they increased it to 7 foot.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
I got to get rid of my 2009 and 2012 IBC and start reading 2018. Okay.
I bet you could sell them on the black market.
I probably could sell the 2009s because there are a lot of municipalities still use it. So, okay.
So with that information, Chair Smith, I guess maybe and with board member Zimmerman's information, she's booked the second Wednesday of the month. The first Wednesday of June would be
Planning,
if you
Next-
were,
next
well,
week,
which,
right?
mm,
No,
2
2
weeks.
2 weeks.
But I'm sorry, Mike, didn't we put, I guess I'm not up to speed on planning commission. I thought we pushed planning commission later in the month.
we wound up not needing to because of because of an application, another application, we were looking at moving it to the 9th, but it turned out not to be necessary. So
Okay, okay.
commission will take place at the normal date of the first Wednesday.
Oh, yikes. That means a packet thing for me, but okay. Well, I guess then it becomes if this, I mean, who cares? We're not in chambers together. Besides you, Mike, being the show for this group, they could still meet at 5:30 and planning commission could still meet later. Other staff would have to shift over, or, hey, I'm not driving this bus or this calendar. If y'all want to keep, the current board members are here, because you two are actually here, I think you two get to decide, and along with whatever concessions you want to make to the applicant, I think you two get to pick the next date, and if you're comfortable with sticking with June 16, because that's the third Wednesday, that's perfectly fine. The law does not require you, unfortunately, Mr. Depwig, to choose another night. It would be a courtesy to extend to this applicant if you can make it work. It's not something you're legally required to do. So it's up to you two.
I think it's a given that this is a pretty simple request. And I think it could be done in a half an hour.
Oh, yeah, I think so easy, yeah.
Also, on the agenda for planning commission, it's mainly what you're working on, Carmen and Barb. So
Right.
I might not even need to be at the meeting on the 2nd of planning commission.
Okay, fair enough.
And again, the variance board does have the discretion to change the time and to change, as we talked about, change the date. So you could start at 5 if that works for the board members and the applicant on the 2nd. You could even look at a different day of the week. It used to be that variance board kind of just scheduled a meeting whenever they needed to. And we went to a regular meeting night. So that way we could just say, okay, for normal business, here's our monthly meeting date, and everybody knows that if we don't need to meet, we don't meet. So there is some latitude here to adjust the date and the time if the board would like to.
Okay, so we have not, just to clarify, we have not been able to get a hold of Drew or John this afternoon.
I'm not hearing anything from John.
Okay, and then Ann, are you okay with maybe June 2nd? Is that what we're talking about, June 2nd?
Yes, sir.
Are you okay with that on your
Yeah.
schedule? If you're okay with it, I'm okay with it.
I think I am. Can you hold a second? I gotta run out and
Yes, ma'am.
check, but I
Well-
think that'll work for me.
Okay, all
Great.
right,
Thank
Chris,
you.
hang on, we'll try to help you out, but
Doug, I might suggest starting at 5 just for the benefit of staff.
I'm okay with starting it. Yeah,
Just in case you have more than, I agree with Diane. I think it should be fairly straightforward. 30 minutes will probably do
Okay,
it, but
can we not add any other agenda on to June 2nd other than Chris, and then go back to our regular time on the 16th? We'll just make this a special
Yep.
session just for Chris.
Yes, sir.
Today would have been the deadline for doing the notice for any other applications. So there couldn't be another application on the agenda for June 2nd.
Okay, great. Okay.
Mike, are there any other variance board applications pending that you're aware of or no?
There have been 1 or 2 inquiries, but no applications submitted.
Okay, so nothing else is in the hopper right at the moment.
That's correct.
Okay.
So if you're referring to some other conversations, then we're good. Okay. So Ann, what did you find out?
June the 2nd is fine for me.
Okay. Would you like to start a little bit earlier, maybe 5 or?
Drew is here. We got Drew.
Oh, we got Drew.
All of that. See what happens when we stall?
Hello, Drew. She's muted.
My network went down for the second time this week, but here I am.
Yay, okay.
Nothing
we
like
want-
trying to reboot while you're mad.
All right, can we run this through real quick, or what do we do, Cameron?
Yes, sir. You now have a quorum of 3. You
Okay.
can absolutely convene now and go about your business.
Okay, so I'll call to order the meeting on this date, May 19th, 2021. It's the regular meeting for the Idaho Springs Variance Board of Adjustments. Can I get a roll call?
Doug Smith,
Present.
Ann Zimmerman,
She's muted now.
Present.
Drew Van Doren,
Present.
John Hatch is not present.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve the meetings from the March 17th, 2021 meeting?
I move to approve the minutes from the March 17th meeting.
I'll second.
All right, new business. We have a new member, John Hatch, but he's not present, so we can move on from that one, correct?
Wait, sorry, Chair. I think you got a first and a second, but you didn't get a vote on that, right, Diane?
Oh,
Correct.
do we?
Okay, so just call a vote on that, on the
Okay.
minutes.
All right. Who calls the vote? Diane?
Yep, you can, Chair. You got a first and a second to approve the minutes, so I think you can do that with a just call for an all in favor on that one.
Okay, I'll call for favor on the approve the minutes from March 17th, 2021.
Aye.
Ready to just say,
Yep, you can just say aye, Drew.
Aye.
Doug, aye.
Okay, very good.
Okay. That was a new one. Okay, so if we do the new business with John Hatch, we can postpone that till next meeting?
well, he's already on board. He
Okay.
just needs to attend a meeting.
Okay. So there is one public hearing tonight. That meeting is to propose a fence at 715 Colorado Boulevard. Request to allow a fence up to 7 feet high where the maximum allowed is 6 feet. All right, open public hearing. Today's time is 5:51 p.m. Can I get the staff report from Mike?
Yes, as you just noted, this is an application at 715 Colorado Boulevard to allow a 7-foot fence where the land development regulations do not allow a fence over 6 feet high. The applicant has made this request because their dog is able to get over a 6-foot fence. So they believe by adding the additional foot they'll be able to keep the dog contained within the rear yard. I've noted the section of the regulations, which is section 21-210. And I'll just go straight to the criteria for approval. First, would the applicant suffer a hardship? Although it might be possible for the dog to get over a 6-foot fence in other nearby neighborhoods, this is the only property that's been brought to the attention of the city staff. The current situation is an inconvenience for the applicant. Number 2, there are no reasonable alternative designs or alternative locations for accomplishing the same thing. And no, neither would work based on the information we received on the fence. Number 3, the need for the variance does not result from intentional or reckless or negligent actions by the applicant. Besides being owner of the dog, the problem does not result from any action by the applicant. Number 4, reasonable protections are afforded adjacent properties. Having a fence that is able to keep the dog within the backyard actually is affording more protection to surrounding properties in terms of not having a dog roaming unattended. Number 5, the variance is the minimum needed. In staff's opinion, the asking for just the 1 foot additional height is a minimal request. Number 6A, the granting of the variance will observe the spirit of the chapter. The purposes of Chapter 1 include promoting the safety and convenience of current and future neighborhoods of residents, of which the proposed variance would do. 6B, secure the public safety and welfare. As noted previously, securing the dog would promote public safety. And finally, 6C, ensure that substantial justice is done, which this is a reasonable request under the variance requirements. The application information was sent to the listed persons, as has been brought up before. Well, it's noted that the code adopted by the city in 2018 for building permits now allows fences to go up to 7 feet without requiring a permit. However, in the emails back and forth that I've had with Safe Built, the city's building consultant, it was left at the last exchange of emails was I had noted to the building official that there would be a building permit application for this, and you'll see that in the recommended conditions in the proposed motion, which is to the staff recommendation based on a finding that the criteria is generally met. Staff recommends approval with the one recommended condition of apply for and obtain approval of a building permit with the application also including design criteria for the wood structure. The correspondence with the building official, he was asking for technical information regarding the design of the fence, which would not be something that the planning department, that the community development department would be referring. So staff would still recommend the application for a building permit. And that's the staff report.
Okay, so Chris, do you have any comments? If so, Diane, can you swear him in?
Raise your right hand. Do you swear the testimony you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
So I guess I missed the part about the permit, but that should be fine. We should be able to do that, no problem. Seems reasonable.
Okay. Is that all the comments you have, Chris?
Yeah, unless there's any other questions that you guys have for
Well,
me.
we'll get to you in a minute.
Okay.
So, okay. Dan, you said we had a individual that wanted to appear and make comments. Is there any other participant that wants to make a comment on this agenda?
I just had the one, he didn't provide an address. It was just an email sent to me stating simply, I oppose the building of a 7-foot fence. Thank you, Chris Risley. No address was given. I do know that he lives at 720 Colorado Boulevard.
Diane, could you do us the favor and spell that last name for the record?
Risley.
Thank you, ma'am.
You bet.
Okay, so since there's nobody here publicly to address this, does any of the members have any questions for Chris or the staff on this agenda?
Is there a fence there now?
Yes.
Where this one's gonna go? And is it
Well,
what? 6 feet?
partially. So right now, about 3/4 of the backyard is about a 4 foot, 4.5 foot vinyl. And then the back left part of the yard has no fence at all. It's open. And then there's a part of a chain link fence from the next door neighbor as well.
And there should be a photo of the existing fence in the as an attachment to the staff report.
Okay, so I've got a comment to the staff. So y'all made the comment that in 2018, IRC the requirement now is 7 foot or over to obtain a permit. If that's the case, and we are adhering to the 2018 IRC, why would Chris need to get a permit?
Well, the building official sent me technical comments that he wanted answered regarding the structural stability of what was going to be constructed. And in the absence of having that technical information, I had told him that there was going to be a recommended condition for a building permit for the fence, and I did not hear back from the building official to that email.
Okay, so if we're strictly going by 2018 IRC code, then there's no reason for, in my opinion, that he should pull a permit. If it is a condition of the city and the planning that they are adhering to the 2018 IRC, and if that is the precedence over the previous planning regulation, then I don't understand why Safe Built has to be involved in it. I understand that fences are pretty much a standard structural adherence to how you build a fence. I will tell you that Idaho Springs has adopted a 42-inch depth on a post. Chris, you might not be aware of that. Your fence people may not be aware of that.
I'll put that down.
But my opinion is if a permit's not required for a 6 foot, and now we're going to 2018 IRC, which is 7 foot, then I'm little. I don't know why he would need to pull a permit. I understand he still needs the variance because the regulations haven't been updated to match the 7 foot of the 2018 IRC, and we're still the regulations from as far as city planning goes is at 6 foot. That's just a discrepancy of not updating the regulation on the city's part. Is that correct?
Not necessarily, although it would make sense to have the building code and the zoning type regulations agree with each other. A 6 foot fence is a pretty standard requirement in local government regulations. However, as city staff, we do need to bring something forward to Planning Commission to see if that requirement should be changed, as you just mentioned.
Correct.
Hey, so can I have a quick question, Mike? You mentioned it was because the proper designing was not set in place, but I thought we had a back and forth maybe like 5 days ago talking about the finalizing the plans and the details on the fence. I thought that was the reasoning for it.
No, it had to do with the building official wanted structural information regarding the design of the fence. Now, possibly it could be, the condition could be changed to information needs to be provided to the building official and let him determine whether or not a building permit is still needed.
Chair Smith, sorry.
Issues.
Go ahead, Mike.
Is that since his comment originally was he was looking for additional structural information, and this was at a point where the fence was in a much less defined condition than it is today. Possibly the condition could be changed to is that the applicant provide the requested structural information for the building official to determine whether or not a building permit is still needed for this request.
Okay.
And
So,
sorry, Chair, I might say.
Go ahead, Cameron. Go ahead.
If a permit is not required, a permit's not required. I think that's the point Chair Smith is making. So I don't think modifying the condition to say, well, give us your design guidelines or structural detail. I'm sorry, Mr. Depwig, but let us sort this out. I don't think.
Yeah, no, you're totally fine.
I don't think asking him to provide that for purposes of deciding whether a permit is required is necessary. However, Mike, I agree with maybe the road you were going down, which is, look, if you as a board and we as a city merely want to make sure this thing is structurally sound because it's taller than typical, let's face it. I think you as a variance board have the ability under the criteria to require Mr. Depwig to provide those structural and design plans with specificity, just so they can be reviewed for safety, not because we want to issue you a permit or make you pay another fee. You know, give us any more of your hard-earned money, Mr. Depwig. But I think if you, as a board, wanted to require some specific structural and design plans, just so that we as a city can have those and make sure they're okay, I think you have the discretion to do that. Let's just not call it a permit.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to go through that because it is becoming part of the requirement for the variance. So it is an attached requirement. We're just not strictly voting up and down on just letting him put another foot on a fence. So there is, I do want him to understand there is a lot more involved with the permit than he thinks there's going to be, especially when you're dealing with safe built and structural engineers, soil surveys, all that. It's going to cost you quite a bit to submit a permit. So I just want you to be aware of that. I'm a complete. Think at some point that's I think that at some point that's if we're going to strictly adhere to 2018 IRC, then the city, we should strictly adhere to that. And if it doesn't require a permit, then that should not be a requirement for a variance, in my opinion. But if and Cameron, am I allowed to ask, if the applicant is willing to go forth with that, that's something that Ann and Drew and I can consider, and there would be no issues. But
Yep, and again, I think if you as a board, you and your board members this evening want to ask of the applicant to provide some plans and not pay a permit fee and go through a permitting process, that would be absolutely okay. Not only do I think it'd be okay, I think if you did not call it a requirement to get a permit, you're compliant with the IRC. Does that make sense, Chair?
Yes, it does.
Okay, but let me also be clear, it's up to you, right? A permit by any other name is a permit, and if you feel it's inappropriate to ask for that sort of detail and plans because that's sort of what a permit is, I get it. If the board, however, would like the applicant to provide that, I'm telling you, I think you have the legal basis to ask him to simply provide some detailed structural plans.
So I just wanted Ann and Drew to understand as a member, that there is, it is a little bit more complicated than just writing out a piece of paper and then sending it to the city and paying the $75 or $200 or whatever it is. So it is going to be a lot more work for him to do that. And the only reason I'm bringing that up, it is a requirement part for us to vote on the variance. And I just wanted to make sure they understood that before we vote on it. So,
well, it looks to me like the wording in what we're supposed to vote on is telling him he needs a permit. Am I correct in reading that? It's saying based on the findings in section 2 required by code must obtain a building permit. Isn't that part of the variance we're being asked to vote on? Can we take it out?
That's part of the amendment, and yes, you can, the motion, yes, you can take it out. What I've said previously was that as the planner for the city, I'm satisfied with just changing it to rather than a building permit being required, that the applicant provide the information requested by the building official, and that be to the satisfaction of the building official.
So
Okay,
we could,
so let me
So
state
we
this
need to
again.
amend it.
It needs to be revised, the condition number 1.
Okay, guys, all I'm saying is if we're going to stick and change to 2018 IRC that does not require a permit for a 7-foot fence, I don't want to make it a part of a stipulation just because the code officials said we would like to have that, if that's not what the code or the city planning regulations require. I'm not trying to be difficult on it. I just want to make sure we're adhering to code versus regulation versus what somebody wants.
Okay,
'Cause
Chair
we
Smith.
get into trick bags with what somebody wants from a certain organization, so.
Sheriff Smith, this is Andy.
Yes, sir.
It's clear from legal counsel and our discussion that a building permit is not required.
Okay,
I have a concern with having the building department review this without a building permit because that is the way the building official gets paid as a contractor to the city. And that's going to be complicated if then we're asking them to review something that we don't have a building permit for. So my recommendation was if under our currently adopted codes, there's no requirement for a 7-foot fence to obtain to have a building permit, then those requirements should not be a part of the board's recommendation. That's my opinion, but I think council is correct. I agree that you could do that. I just don't think it's administratively it's a good idea. I'm not saying legally, but administratively. So I just wanted to give you that perspective that now I didn't know there was that change, but now that change is there for 7 foot, I don't think that there should be a building department review of it without a building permit.
Cameron, is it okay if Drew and Ann and I discuss this before we take a vote? Or I think I've asked this question before and I'm not sure what the answer was.
Yes, absolutely. You bet, Chair. I think if you are now satisfied that you've gotten the information that you need and all your questions, at least most of the questions you hope answered, I think I would recommend, Chair, invite Mr. Depwig to say any final words he may have to say to you, if any, and then close the hearing. And then you three talk amongst yourselves all you want. That's great.
I have another question. Is there a gate? Because I see a mention of the fire department asking about a gate.
Yeah.
Is there a gate in the back?
Yeah, we're
Yeah,
gonna
there's-
put it right in the front next to the garage.
Okay.
So where the existing one is, we're just replacing that.
There should be a plan view, a very generalized plan view that shows the location of the fence, where you're looking down on the building and you'd see the outline of the fence, location of where the fence would go, which the gate would be facing towards the street, even though that fence is in the backyard.
And Chief Kelly would be okay with that one, Mike?
That was his comment. Well, his
Okay.
comment was simply that they would like to have a fence in terms of their access to the property. He didn't specify a location for the fence.
Okay. Drew, did you have any comments or any questions or concerns?
No, I think that a safe fence for you could buy a shorter dog, Chris. That would also be an option. Just throwing it out there. Just throwing
He's
it
not
out there.
that big. It's just that he's a husky and he just, if he sees anything, he just
He's
boing,
motivated.
on.
He's motivated. No, understood. No, I mean, I also don't see a reason why we would, I'm currently in the permit process on another property, and it is more expensive and certainly time intensive. As long as the 7-foot fence is not violating any particular ordinances and not causing any particular problems to the neighbors, and is in keeping with that kind of back end of the property, and will indeed keep the Husky contained, I don't see any reason to have a building permit. I mean, obviously, speak of dogs, sorry, happens every day when she comes home. We're not talking about electricity or plumbing or something huge structural that is going to endanger someone if it's not done perfectly. So I don't see any reason to have that in there. So can we just amend the variance request to approve the variance of the 7-foot fence and just remove the part about the building permit entirely?
Yes, ma'am.
So
And yes, ma'am.
actually,
Then
that's
I'd
not
like
in
to
the,
move to do that.
well, hold on. Okay, so we've heard from all the members. So I moved to close the hearing at 6:14. And then I'd asked to approve, hold on one second, move to approve VB 21-02, a resolution approving an application for a variance at 715 Colorado Boulevard to allow a rear yard fence up to 7 feet high. Do I have a motion?
And Chair Smith,
Yes, ma'am.
if you would like to eliminate the condition, I
So,
would just ask you to add
okay,
to your, sorry, just to add to that motion that you just made, that you move that resolution
okay.
be amended by removing the condition in its entirety.
So I move also to amend that to remove the permit application based on 2018 IRC codes not requiring a permit for a 7-foot high fence. I move to remove that from the resolution. Is that correct?
That works great.
Okay.
So do you need a second, or do you still need a
do.
motion?
Yep, second.
I so move. You need a second?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I will second that motion.
Okay.
As stated.
Can I hear a roll call for the
Doug
resolution?
Smith,
Yes.
Ann Zimmerman,
I approve.
Drew Van Dorn.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, is there any other business for this committee tonight? No other business?
No, sir.
Huh? No other business? So I adjourn this meeting at 6:16 p.m.
Good job, Chair Smith. Thank you, board members.
Thank you,
Thanks,
everybody.
everyone.
Thank you,
Nice.
Andy. Thank you, Mike.
Night,
Thank you, guys.
everybody.
Thanks.
Thanks.